You could have subscribed to any other YouTube channel, but you chose to subscribe here. So, hit that notification, hit that like button, and tune in with Adrian and Glib Talk. If you talking to hear your own voice, that's Glib. Using your platform to poop and pimp, that's Glib. I can sell drinking water to a fish with Glib. Tune in for a discussion with Glib. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. 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 Let's all get right on the late night with a little discussion or a heated debate on sports news, current events. Glib Talk is where you gotta tune in for facts and different opinions. This is Glib Talk, hosted by Adrian, who will dissect the dichotomy of the fake news by its views, trying to get to the truth. But we can just shoot the shit. We all trolls and his, that's why the chat stay lit. In the live stream when everyone clowns let off a little steam. So go ahead and smash the like button. You can subscribe to the page, turn on the notification for the live stream, and upload updates like you talking to hear your own voice. That's Glib. Using your platform to poop and pimp. That's Glib. I can sell drinking water to a fish with Glib. Tune in for a discussion with Glib. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk.
Mic check, mic check.
Glib Talk, Glib Talk. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show.
I don't know. Let's
If
see.
you are a first-time viewer, go ahead and hit that subscribe
My mic's
button.
been too low lately.
And then everyone who enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that smash that. Matter of fact, smash that like button and turn on them notifications so you won't be tuned out and you can tune in. This is Glib Talk with your host, Adrian. I gotta shoot a special shout out to my dude, my nigga, Nate, for the track. Good looking. I am Bizzle Kong. This is Glib Talk. Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Good morning, good people. Saturday morning, August 26th. Let's see what's going on. Hey, thank you for clicking on the play button. My name is Adrian, and this is Glib Talk. If you haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. I saw this story last night. I saw that the headline for this story last night, and I just had to laugh to myself because Harrison Floyd is a person who I found out about a couple years ago. He's a person who I really have a high level of disdain for. I do not like. I don't know anything of him, but what I've read of him, I do not like. I don't know Ruby Freeman. I know that she's an older black woman who was trying to do her civic duty, and for whatever reason, they went out and found other black people, particularly this guy named Harrison Floyd, to harass this woman into confessing to a crime that she did not commit, in an effort to keep Donald Trump in power. Now, I don't know, how anyone else could feel about that. But when I saw that his ass was still locked up, I laughed. I said, ha, ha, ha. Good for you, Jack. Good for you. You got what you was looking for. You wanted to be part of the team. Guess what? You're a henchman. You're a henchman on the team. You're one of the lowest level people on the team. So I don't know why Harrison Floyd decided to become part of Trump's team to try to overthrow the election in Georgia. I know that he's a supporter of Trump and he's a believer in Trump, but he got what he was looking for because some people just want to be part of the team. Well, he was the henchman. He was the henchman on the team. So he got what the henchmen get, arrested and locked up in jail, and he's got to sit there and hopefully he doesn't flip on Trump. But I know why Harrison Floyd is sitting in jail. I know why Harrison Floyd doesn't have an attorney. I know why Harrison Floyd didn't get someone to pay for him to travel down to Georgia. I understand why all of these things happen. It's because Harrison Floyd never talked to Donald Trump. Harrison Floyd didn't talk to Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't direct Harrison Floyd to do anything. Harrison Floyd committed all of his crimes on his own in furtherance of the conspiracy is what they've accused him of. In furtherance of the conspiracy, Harrison Floyd of his own decided to do these things without getting a direct promise from Donald Trump of anything. But he obviously felt he could get something from it, being a part of this organization, being part of this group, being part of this conservative black movement that follows Trump and believes in this America First movement that Trump is pushing. Maybe he felt that being in this position, there was something more he could gain from it. What he didn't get was resources. And what he doesn't have is conversations with Trump that would implicate Trump. That would mean that he had something on Trump that Trump wanted to protect. Because everyone who speaks to Trump, who Trump has something to protect, has a lawyer paid for by Trump. Everybody else that's in that position has a lawyer paid for by Trump. Now, some of these lawyers that like Jenna Ellis, Rudy Giuliani did a lot of lawyering and didn't get paid. They don't have Trump appointed lawyers, but they are getting support from the Trump super PAC. Trump got over maybe almost $1 billion now from people that want to help him to fight his legal fight. But who they didn't want to help was Harrison Floyd. I wanted to talk about this because I know today that the Republicans, the black Republicans, are going to come out and say, Harrison Floyd is still in jail because he's black. The Democrats hate black people. That's why Harrison Floyd is in jail. Just like the Democrats started the KKK, that's what they'll say. And I would say Harrison Floyd is in jail because he's stupid. Because he's stupid. Everyone else in this position, everyone else who had the opportunity to negotiate their release in the terms of their surrendering to the government, got to go home. Everybody else got to go home. But he did it because he didn't have a lawyer. He couldn't afford a lawyer. And apparently, he's not receiving resources from Donald Trump's super PAC that's paying for his lawyers for him and his friends. So apparently he's not close enough to Trump to get the money. So he got nothing. So what did he get? He turned himself in of his own volition because he had to, not of his own volition. He had to turn himself in, but without a lawyer and without a bond agreed upon, he don't have no bond, which means he's got to sit until he can see a judge and get a bond. So he's been in jail since Thursday. He was there when Donald Trump was there. Donald Trump was in and out in no time. He already negotiated his terms. This guy, Harrison Floyd, who should have known better than to go down there. And if he didn't know, he should have asked somebody. Like, yo, look, like he could have just went and talked to a lawyer for 30 minutes for free. That lawyer would have told him, listen, I'm gonna need $5,000 to get started or something. But you know what I'm saying? I'll represent you when you go to turn yourself in. And he would have negotiated on his behalf. Or he can negotiate for himself as acting as his own attorney. But what he did was he went down there as a person who's accused and he got his ass locked up. So now his ass is sitting in jail. And he didn't have to. But he deserves it. He didn't have to, but he deserves it. Because in my opinion, I'd say Harrison Floyd is a disgusting person. Harrison Floyd is a disgusting person, and he's a power-hungry human being. If Donald Trump is in power and he runs this organization that supports Trump, and Trump feels favor toward this organization, he'll get more power. He'll get lifted up. He'll get lifted up with everybody else that rises up with Trump. All of these people engaged with Trump were in some way or another trying to gain the power that comes from the association and affiliation with him. I wish I could feel bad for him as a black man and say, damn, another black man got he's getting screwed. He's got exactly what he was looking for. He wanted to be part of the Trump team. But I saw this article today. It says Trump ally Harrison Ford is the only co-defendant forced to remain in jail after Georgia judge refused to issue bond over risk to commit additional felonies and flee the jurisdiction. He's being held in Fulton County Jail Friday night for the second night in a row after Judge Emily Richardson denied him bail. One of 19 co-defendants in Trump's case of attempted to overturn Georgia's election told the judge he could not afford a lawyer. That's fucking sucks, because Donald Trump has collected like $1 billion to pay for lawyers for everyone who's in the situation who's associated with him. So apparently he kept the money. This sounds funny. I hate to say, I used to say everything goes back to Jed, but isn't that what happened with the Freedom Fund? Jedediah Brown had a Freedom Fund to pay for the protesters to get out of jail, and they collected the money from the Freedom Fund, and they didn't pay people to get out of jail. The people who got arrested just went to jail. It's like, I don't know who will fall for this. I don't know. I don't donate to shit. I keep my money. Floyd's been denied representation by a public defender because he did not qualify. He makes too much money. He makes too much money to get a public defender, which means you got to pay for it yourself. So he ain't poor. I didn't call him poor. I called him stupid. One of Donald Trump's co-defendants was spending a second night in Fulton County Jail on Friday after he told the court he could not afford a lawyer and was deemed a flight risk and denied bail. Good for him. Harrison Floyd, a former U.S. Marine and mixed martial arts fighter, is accused of participating in a scheme to pressure an election worker to falsely admit to voting fraud. Now, the accusation is less of an accusation because they actually have it on video. And this is when I first became familiar with Harrison Floyd in 2021. In 2021, there was a video that was released, a body cam video of a police officer recording a conversation between, what's this lady's name? Trevion. This lady here, Trevion, what's her name? Trevion something. Trevion Kutti, K-U-T-T-I. Trevion Kutti was talking to Ruby Freeman in a police station. They had been calling and harassing this woman, trying to get her on the phone, texting her, trying to get her to communicate with them so they could tell her, for your own protection, say you did this. Because if you don't say you did it, the mob is going to come to your house. The mob is coming to your house on January 6th. So if you don't admit to the crime that you committed, they're going to give justice to you. They're going to show up to your house and do what they're trying to do. I can help you. The most disgusting part about all of this stuff was that this fake priest over here attempted to talk to Ruby Freeman. And when he showed up at her door, she didn't trust him because he was white. So they said, we need black people to do this job because she doesn't trust me because I'm white. So they bring in Harrison Floyd. Hey, you're black. Why don't you go talk to these black people because they'll trust you because you're black. And you get them to agree to admit to the crime that they did not do, so that way we can get them to overturn the election and say Donald Trump won. Harrison Floyd recruits this crazy ass looking lady down here, and she meets up with Ruby Freeman and attempts to persuade her to just say you did it. Just say you did it so we can protect you. Because if you don't say you did it, they're going to do something to you. You don't want them to do something to you, do you? Then they just say you did it. This is what they were trying to do. This is how they were going to try to get the Secretary of State to recall the votes, because they were going to get Ruby Freeman to admit under duress. Yes, I did do that. I was cheating for the Democrats. That way she wouldn't get physically hurt. And in exchange for not getting physically hurt, they would have the evidence they needed to say, see, look, the election was stolen and the person who was doing it just admitted it. This is what they were trying to do. And they used these two simple-minded black people to do it. Harrison Floyd isn't a dummy, but he was dumb to follow this plan. He was dumb to agree to be the person on the front line to do this, because Donald Trump didn't tell him to do this. This jackass down here asked him to do it, and he did it. She wasn't paid by Donald Trump to do it. She was asked to do it by Harrison Floyd. So because they were asked to do this stupid ass job, He's locked up right now. And he deserves it. He fucking deserves it. That was an old black lady. He should have saw favor with her. He should have said, you know what? Do we have evidence this happened? I don't know about this. I don't know about harassing and stalking this old black woman. I don't know about trading her for Trump. There's nothing in the world that would make me look at a older black woman the age of my mother and say, you know what I'm gonna do to her? I'm gonna scare her to death until she does not what I need her to do, what Donald Trump needs her to do. Because the only person who benefits is Donald Trump. But I guess in the long run, if Harrison Floyd gets this woman to lie, he earns favor in Trump's eyes, which may in turn allow him to gain something. But Trump promised him nothing. So he's doing it on his own. He's hoping. He's hoping he'll get something more than a pat on the back. But it seems like what he's going to get is a kick in the ass. Because what he didn't get was his lawyer paid for. And now he's sitting in jail with no way to get out until he gets a bond, which he may or may not be able to afford. Now, had he had a conversation with Donald Trump, he may have had a different result. But he's never had a conversation with Donald Trump. He's never spoken to Trump before. It says he spent Thursday night in infamous jail and on Friday appeared before Judge Emily Richardson via video link to plead with her to release him without paying bail. Floyd told the judge that it typically costs between $40,000 to $100,000 just to retain a private lawyer to fly to Georgia. I cannot afford an attorney for something like this, he said, telling Richardson that he did not want to put his family in debt. Richardson told Floyd that he could either hire a lawyer or represent himself. It was not immediately clear why Floyd was told he could not be represented by a public defender. He makes too much money. Generally, defendants must meet certain financial requirements to qualify. For now, Floyd will remain in Fulton County Jail, which is being investigated. We don't care about that. Oh, damn it. We're not doing that either. McAfee expired. I don't even have McAfee. It's crazy. But look, so check it out, right? This is the story from 2021. Kanye West publicist pressed Georgia election worker to confess to bogus fraud charges. Weeks after the 2020 election, a Chicago publicist for hip-hop artist Kanye West traveled to the suburban home of Ruby Freeman, a frightened Georgia election worker who was facing death threats after being falsely accused by former President Donald Trump of manipulating votes. The publicist knocked on the door and offered to help. The visitor, Travion Cootie, gave her name but didn't say she worked for West, a longtime billionaire friend of Trump. She said she was sent by a high-profile individual whom she didn't identify to give Freeman an urgent message: confess to Trump's voter fraud allegations or people will come to her home in 48 hours and she'd go to jail. Freeman refused. This story of how an associate of a music mogul pressured a 62-year-old temporary election worker at a center of a Trump conspiracy theory is based on previously unreported police recordings and reports, legal filings, and Freeman's first media interview since she was dragged into Trump's attempt to reverse his election loss. Cootie did not respond to requests for comment. Her biography for her work, we don't care about what she does. The representative says she's no longer associated with West. Of course she's not. When Cootie knocked on Freeman's door on January 4th, Freeman called 911. By then, Freeman said she was wary of strangers. Starting on December 3rd, Trump and his campaign repeatedly accused Freeman and her daughter, Wandrea Shamos, of illegally counting phony mail-in ballots after pulling them from mysterious suitcases while working on the election day at Atlanta State Farm Arena. In fact, the suitcases were standard ballot containers and the votes were properly counted. County and state officials quickly confirmed, refuting the fraud claims. Let's see, it says, by the time Cootie arrived, Freeman needed help but was cautious and wouldn't open the door because of the threats, according to Freeman in a police report. So Freeman asked a neighbor to come over and talk with Cootie, who was with an unidentified male. You know who the male was? We know all of these answers now. What's page 53? I believe this is. We know all this now, that Stephen Clifford Lee, Cliff Guard Lee, was the male who was there with Cootie, and she was wary of this guy. She was wary of that guy. She didn't want to talk to him. So they brought the black people in to try to help. They're saying that I need help, Freeman told the dispatcher, referring to the people at her door, that it's just a matter of time that they're going to come out for me and my family. An officer arrived and spoke with Cootie, who described herself as a crisis manager, according to the police incident report. Cootie repeated that Freeman was in danger and had 48 hours before unknown subjects turned up at her home, the report said. At the officer's suggestion, the woman agreed to meet at a police station. The officer's report did not identify the man, according to Cootie, but we know who the man is now. The man is Stephen Cliffgard Lee. But they have video footage of this. Like, right, they have.
Thank you. No problem. Good evening. How are you? So thank you so much for
All right, so the person in the brown sweater is Ruby Freeman, and the person in the yellow sneakers is Cootie. And she went to the police station and met up, and the officers got the body cam all recorded.
agreed to meet with us. We didn't want to frighten you, but we had to find you within this time bracket. I'm here because I received a call. Not that I didn't know about this situation before, because I had heard that it wasn't a serious concern for me, because I had asked you what to do with it. We would like to let you know first and foremost, we have put in placement a way to move you, to secure you from what may be on the horizon within the next 48 hours. And we have probably 48 hours to move you, either do it on your schedule. I cannot say what specifically will take place. I just know that it will disrupt your freedom and practice.
So they're telling this 62-year-old black woman, well, I don't know what's going to take place, but it's going to disrupt your freedom. Someone's going to do something to her. Someone's going to do something to her that she don't deserve. And this is what they're trying to scare her with. But none of this will happen if she'll just talk to them and tell them the air quote truth, that she was in on it.
I would like to connect now on the phone Harrison Floyd, who would be taking this situation to a detailed level for you to let you know exactly what is at stake.
All right, and if I don't know if anyone has read the indictment, but what's happening right now is exactly as it is described in the indictment from Georgia. And they're saying this is a crime. Lying to this woman, trying to compel her to give testimony that's not true, is a crime. So when I talked to Black Rosebud the other day, and I said some people are definitely going to jail, and they may be able to prove the conspiracy that it all came down from Trump. This woman's committing a crime right now on video. There's no way to dispute it or deny it. They are accusing her of trying to compel a witness to lie. Harrison Floyd gets on the phone and does the exact same thing. He's committing a crime, and he's going to go to jail for that crime. Now, whether they're going to convict him of the conspiracy is another question. But he's definitely committing the crime of trying to compel a witness to lie.
What choices do you have? Whether you choose or not to deal with that, I am not your enemy. This is Garrison. He works with me. You are a loose end for a party that needs to tie you up. I work with some of the biggest names in the industry. Crisis is my thing.
You know, I was reading this this indictment this morning, right? And I was saying, I wonder who the other person is, because they have like intimate details about the conversations. Because there's no way that the government knows what this lady and Harrison Floyd talked about unless somebody else was listening or she told somebody else. It was probably the jackass who's sitting over there in the cowboy boots. It was probably him, because he ain't listed in this indictment. So he was probably the one that was like, shit, I know what happened. I didn't fucking, don't put me on the list. I was just there. I'm just there. I didn't do shit.
I'm gonna call Harrison Floyd. I'm gonna put him on speaker. Who is Harrison Floyd? Harrison Floyd is Harrison Floyd. Is of that who works in crisis management at a very high level with authoritative powers to give you the protection that you need. And I want the officers to know this is at this moment a conversation between private citizens. I am hoping that you are trusting that this information doesn't go any further.
Oh, look, here you go, right here. Here you go. It says, on or about the 4th day of January 2021, Travion C. Cuddy, that's the woman who's talking, having been recruited by Harrison William Prescott Floyd, traveled from Chicago, Illinois to Atlanta, Georgia, and caused a certain individual whose identity is known to the grand jury to pick her up from a train station in Fulton County, Georgia, for the purpose of attempting to contact Ruby Freeman. I'm almost 100% certain that the person that picked her up is this guy who's sitting right here, who spoke in front of the grand jury and told the damn truth. He says, I'm not going to jail for this shit. I'm not going to jail. I don't even like Trump. I just hang out with this lady because she knows Kanye West. I ain't going to jail for Trump.
I don't know her background.
I can step over there if you're comfortable. That's fine?
Yeah, I want her to be comfortable, but I also want to advise her that there are federal people who are involved here that I don't know who is connected to who. And I really need for her to be as nonchalant as possible with this conversation that we are going to have.
So basically, she's trying to get the police officer, who now she realizes is filming this conversation, to possibly stop filming the conversation because there's really nothing going on here. And this is kind of federal, it's not even local, so it ain't really got nothing to do with you. But you show up at this woman's house and you tell her she's in danger. Well, who would be the ones that would protect her? It wouldn't be the federal government. It'd probably be the police. But she's trying to convince this lady that we don't know who's involved. There's these external forces that are possibly going to do something to you. And I'm not sure how far up or down this goes the chain. I'm here to help you. Like, you've seen this on TV before. Like, it's such a fucked up story. It's such a fucked up story. And they use black people to do it to black people. And I really feel bad for Ruby Freeman. I really do. Because when I look at her, she doesn't look like my mom. She doesn't look like my mom at all. But when I look at this older black woman, I see a woman that could be my mom. She's like in the age group of the person who could be my mom. And I feel bad when I see someone taking advantage of her. When you say this doesn't appear to be a person who's doing anything wrong. She doesn't appear to be a person who's committing a crime or a person who commits crimes. And for whatever reason, they pointed the target at her and said, she's the criminal. She's the mobster. She's the one who's in on it. Not Trump and all of these other people that are swindling and scheming and scamming, trying to figure out a way to keep in power. It's her, this little old black lady. And I think that's fucking wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's fucked up that what they did. And I hope that Harrison Floyd gets his good come-upons. I hope he gets what he was looking for, and I hope he gets what he deserves. This lady here, well, she's already going to get what she's going to get. But somehow she had enough money to afford a lawyer so she can negotiate her release. But I don't know. I don't know if she really has an out. She has way too much exposure to the crime of trying to compel testimony from a witness. She's way too close to that to say she didn't do it. They got her on camera do it. They got police interviews that say she was doing it. She's going to have a hard time beating that one. But the RICO charge that ties it all together, where they all get to go together, that's a different case. That it's not a different case, but it's a different part of this case. She's probably going to be guilty of the crime of trying to compel witness testimony. But whether Donald Trump gets tangled up in that web as being a person who compelled these people to do that, well, you have to connect more dots. Why did this guy, Stephen Lee, communicate with Harrison Floyd? Was he under the direction of somebody else, or was he acting on his own? We do know from this indictment that Lee is communicating with the head of the GOP. But I haven't read this into completion, so I don't know exactly how those people are linked. But the head of the GOP is talking directly with Rudy Giuliani, Cheeseborough, Eastman. They're all talking directly. Jenna Ellis. They're all talking directly to the head of the Georgia GOP. And the head of the Georgia GOP is talking to Stephen Lee. So somehow they get these black people to agree to do this crime so they can try to convince these people to lie in the furtherance of keeping Trump in power, to help with keeping Trump in power, and that's wrong. What they did to Ruby Freeman was wrong, and I hope they all get to pay the price for what they did to her, financially, professionally, and with their freedom. Thanks for clicking on the play button. If you haven't hit the like button and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later on Glib Talk. Peace.
If you talking to hear your own voice, that's clear. Using your platform to poke and pimp, that's clear. I can sell drinking water to a fish with Glib. Tune in for a discussion with Glib. It's Glib Talk, Glib Talk, Glib Talk. 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 Let's all get right on the late night with a little discussion or a heated debate on sports, news, current events. Glib Talk is where you gotta tune in for facts and different opinions. This is Glib Talk, hosted by Adrian, who dissects the dichotomy